Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, these three candlesticks tell of a coming Bitcoin bull run. Wait, hold it, back up. Doesn't that sound a little bit like palm reading, crystal ball viewing, tea leaf deciphering? Yes, it does, but that's the awesome power of Japanese candlestick analysis. Guys, this is not some middle school gimmick that you play on your friends. This is not fortune telling. This is actually a very valuable and valid way of doing technical analysis, and it's not one that we talk about very much here on the channel, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. So in today's video, we'll be breaking down what this very simple pattern means on Bitcoin and why it's calling for a rally on our favorite cryptocurrency. But guys, before we get into it, if you do enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel when you do that, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of our upcoming videos. We've got a lot of really cool stuff coming out to the channel pretty soon. But anyway, guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, there's a pattern on Bitcoin right now, and it is very bullish. And that formation would be this candlestick pattern right here, where we have green, red, followed by green. I've shown you guys this quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, and it's a very powerful formation for several different reasons. Let me show you exactly why. As we can see here, Bitcoin was green for 2 weeks in a row, which was good. Unfortunately, we did have a very long upper wick right here, an upper shadow, meaning that Bitcoin was looking a little bit bearish. From there, over the last week or so, Bitcoin corrected, and we formed a very small red candlestick. From there, though, guys, it wasn't a very large body. Bitcoin has opened a new green weekly candlestick since today is indeed Monday, and we have already seen this green candlestick come up and engulf the one before it. Now, there's like 6 more days before this weekly candlestick closes, but if this candlestick does manage to close in an engulfing pattern above the top of this red candlestick, then Bitcoin is going to be looking very, very bullish. And guys, it isn't only to do with the candlesticks, it has to do with the wicks also. There's so much in these 3 candlesticks, it's ridiculous. As you guys can see, on this red candlestick, we had a very, very low upper wick, which is a good thing. It means that there wasn't like a shooting star up here that Bitcoin just got completely and utterly rejected. On the other hand, though, there was a very long lower shadow that came down and tested our 20 EMA perfectly. It bounced exactly where we hoped it would. And also, guys, even if it hadn't have bounced on the 20 EMA, when you have a very long lower shadow like this on a small candlestick, it's actually generally a pretty good thing. It's kind of like an inverse shooting star. In candlestick analysis, it would either be called a hammer or it'd be called a hanging man. In this case, it'd be called a hanging man because it shows up at the top of a trend, which is actually a bearish thing, but if Bitcoin manages to have a green candlestick following it, that completely inverts the value of that candlestick into a bullish candlestick, which is, of course, a good thing. And guys, yes, I know I joked about it earlier, but I do know that Bitcoin had the bullish MACD cross, and believe me, it's very important, it's very bullish, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But for now, I want to stick with Japanese candlestick analysis because Japanese candlestick analysis is one of the most underrated, underpublicized, and underappreciated forms of analysis, and it's very important that you guys have an understanding of it. And also, guys, before we go any farther, I want to address something that we talked about in the last couple of videos. A few videos ago, I was talking about how I thought Bitcoin was going to go down to $7,800. Clearly, it did not. Like I told you guys in those videos, there was a pretty good chance that Bitcoin would bounce off of the 20 DEMA, but I wanted to make sure you guys were prepared for Bitcoin to pull back to $7,800. But I did think that $7,800 for Bitcoin was probably the most likely scenario and that Bitcoin would pull back down there. It seems to me that I was definitely proven wrong. As we can see here on the hourly chart, Bitcoin was stuck below this downtrend of resistance, and instead of breaking to the downside, Bitcoin decided to break to the upside. That happened yesterday, but I want to show you guys this again because Bitcoin is marching even higher at the time of recording this video. And in fact, guys, because Bitcoin has made that move, a break above that downtrend on the hourly chart, because Bitcoin did not even have to go back to $7,800, because we stayed above the 20 exponential moving average, because of the weekly chart MACD cross, because the daily chart MACD is coming in for a cross here in the next 3 or 4 days, I want to pose something to you guys. I am looking to enter a swing trade 25x long, and I want to see what you guys have to think about. So if you want me to enter a 25x long over on Bybit, tell me in the poll right up here. I want to see what you guys think about that. I personally am feeling pretty confident on the market, especially with the way we've been moving for the last 2 days. And if Bitcoin especially manages to get up here above $9,200, we're going to be off to the races, and that could be a very, very lucrative trade. So tell me if you guys would like me to make that trade. The link will be up in that direction. But guys, believe it or not, there's actually more to unpack here. One thing I want to show you is over on the longs chart. The longs, as you may know, were jumping off the metaphorical cliff, and we did see a bit of a blood fall for the last week and a half or 2 weeks. From here, though, over the last week, Bitcoin has been starting to put in kind of this round bottoming pattern down here on the longs. And yes, I realize most traditional analysis doesn't really apply to the longs chart, but the way that the chart is moving most certainly is important, and it definitely looks like the longs are trying to stage some kind of reversal, which would make sense with with the current market sentiment. These two daily candlesticks right here that we've seen on Bitcoin are some of the most bullish that we have seen in a very long time, probably since these two over here. What Bitcoin did is astounding. Bitcoin pulled back, it buried itself in that 20 exponential moving average, it tested it, and it tested it hard, and it gave the bears every chance. The bears had days to pull back below the 20 DEMA and fall below it, crash below it, and regain control of the market. They had a chance. They had a very, very good chance, and guess what they did? Nothing. They didn't take advantage of it, which means that the bulls are strong right now. We just vindicated the bullish price action. We just vindicated the idea of an uptrend and a rally, and we are right now moving back into prime territory to kick off the bull market that, by the way, still has not been confirmed. Bitcoin needs to get above this moving average right here. Guys, if you tell me in the poll in the top right to go into that 25x long, I will do it right up here around $92 to $9,300 above the 200 daily exponential moving average. I'd like to hear what your opinion is on that in the comments section. I will not, however, be doing it before we get above the 200 SMA because Bitcoin has a decent chance of rejecting there. And that's one thing I want to make sure you guys are aware of also is that even though Bitcoin looks very bullish right now, we are also in kind of a little pseudo moving average consolidation pattern with the 200 moving to the downside and the 20 pushing us up. There's going to be a big breakout here in the next week, and I want you guys to be aware of that because there's definitely a trade to be made here. Whether that be short or long, it depends on which direction Bitcoin breaks. I'm personally far back into the bullish camp after seeing what's happened here for the last 2 days, but I'd like to hear your opinions on that in the comments section down below. And let me just make my point again because I brushed over a lot of important technicals earlier. Bitcoin is looking to have a bullish cross on the MACD chart after having a bearish cross, which is very, very powerful, again, because what this means is that this gave the bears a chance. They didn't take it. And then what we're going to see happen in the next few days, if Bitcoin keeps going bullish, is that Bitcoin's going to have another bullish breakout on the MACD to match the bullish cross that we've seen out here on the weekly chart, which again, like I said, there's going to be a dedicated video on this relatively soon because that's its own can of worms. But all the technicals right now are lining up in favor of Bitcoin. We're above most of our moving averages that we were using as resistance not that long ago. Even that uptrend that we were looking at here on the RSI not that long ago. I want to show you guys just how fast the technical landscape can evolve. And sometimes when a technical analyst says something one day and then something 2 or 3 days later, it's not because their mind has changed really, it's because the market has changed. Look at how quickly we've gone from bearish with diverging bearish MACD price action with a downtrending RSI that was below an uptrend with Bitcoin looking like it was about to break to the downside. Look at how fast all those bearish technicals all of a sudden flipped over into bullish within 48 hours. It can happen quickly, and sometimes it's hard to predict. And that word right there, unpredictability, that is the word that I want to wrap this video out with. Because guys, as you probably know, something terrible happened yesterday. The world stopped for a moment when everybody realized that Kobe Bryant died. Now, I don't even follow basketball, by the way. I'm not even that big into sports, but Kobe Bryant dying is probably one of the biggest celebrity deaths that has happened in quite a long time. And before I get any farther into this, yes, look, I know people die every single day, and just because he's a celebrity doesn't mean that he's any more important than anyone else. But there's a lot of things that we could learn from this guy, and he was just getting started. And I want to wrap this video out talking about it because that idea of unpredictability, it's not just a cryptocurrency idea. It's not just an entrepreneurial idea. It's not just a business idea. It's a life idea. Kobe was in that helicopter with his daughter and 3 other people. None of them could have predicted that that crash was going to happen, and unfortunately, none of them survived. Rest in peace, Kobe, your daughter, the 3 other people in that helicopter, and my condolences for what they're worth go out to your family and all of the family of those affected by this. Now look, Kobe's not perfect. No one is. He's far from it. But Kobe was the kind of person that impacted anything that he touched. He had the DNA of a champion, and everywhere he went, he won. If someone said that they were going to be great, Kobe was the kind of person who would say, how hard are you going to work for it? He'd say, what are you going to do to get it? I mean, celebrities die all the time, but Kobe's a little different because this guy, he was #1. I mean, people would say Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, but a lot of people would counter that with, what about Kobe? Dude was a monster, and the fact that he's dead is insane. He was 41. The guy had a long life ahead of him. And the point of this video is not to gush about, oh, Kobe was so great. The point of this video is that, one, life is very unpredictable. There was no way that when he and his daughter and the rest of his family woke up that morning that they knew that it was going to be one of the worst days of their life. And that's the same thing for all of us. We never really know when it's going to end. We never really know how it's going to end. We never know who it's going to end with. Many things in our lives, as much as we try to plan them out, are going to be unpredictable. They're not going to be able to be discovered until they've actually happened. So when we're in cryptocurrency and we're making tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, however much money you're making in crypto, remember, your life can end at any time. And that's a morbid thought. It's a sad thought, but it is true, and it's very, very important. This guy had just retired. He was at the peak of his career. He was just getting started. He was getting warmed up. He had an entire future ahead of him. That guy was going to dominate any industry he touched. It was in his blood. But unfortunately, that's never going to happen because, like I said, life is unpredictable. Guys, instead of sitting on all the money that we make here in cryptocurrency, let's use it for something, shall we? Because you never know when your life is going to end, and you also never know how much you could impact someone if you used the money that we were making here in cryptocurrency for good. And by the way, I'm not bad-mouthing anyone. I'm not trying to grandstand. I'm not getting up on a soapbox. I'm not doing any of that. But I do want you guys to think about how you're living your life, because today and tomorrow and the next day, they're not guaranteed. You might think you have a 40, 50, 60, 70 years ahead of you, and that's a great mindset when you're investing. But for the rest of your life, you need to live every day like it's your last, while also being aware that hopefully you're going to live for a very long time and not doing anything stupid to compromise the future for the sake of the short term. Life is long, but it's not so long that we can start wasting it. So while we move here into the rest of this year, let's remember that we need to make the most of it. And also, I personally am going to be spending the rest of this week studying Kobe quite a bit, because that guy, he was something else. And when he died, the world stopped spinning for a second. Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. If you really want to be successful in the world, try and be that person who, when you die, the world stops spinning for a second, because that's what happened yesterday around noon. I remember where I was. This is one of those things where you are going to remember for the rest of your life where you were. Those of you who were alive when September 11th happened, I bet you remember where you were if you were over 14 or 15 years old. So guys, my heart goes out to the Bryant family and everyone around them and the families of those other 3 people that were in that helicopter crash. And I want you guys to remember that life is not guaranteed, that life is not promised. And you can try and predict things, you can try and plan things, but at the end of the day, you never know when it's going to be your time. So make sure you're making the most of it while you still can. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry to leave you on a morbid note, but I did want to talk about that because there's something that we can take away from it, and it is really a big piece of news. But anyway, guys, before we go, I do first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Cut.